All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, and this one, it's something I think we can all relate to, right?
Oh, yeah,
That
definitely.
feeling of being constantly busy,
Yeah.
like always on the go. But, is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Good question.
Well, that's what we're exploring today, breaking down this idea of the busy trap with a text simply titled Breaking the Busy Trap: How to Prioritize What Matters. You know, I feel like we've all been there, that pressure to always be doing something, checking things off the list.
Absolutely, yeah. Like it's a badge of honor to be crazy busy, you know?
Right. But that's what we're going to unpack, that whole idea. And hopefully by the end of this deep dive, we'll have some tools to, step back and really focus on what truly matters. So first things first, what's really going on beneath this whole glorification of busyness?
Well, it's interesting. I think modern society, it often equates busyness with productivity and importance.
Uh-huh.
Almost like if you're not running around like crazy, you're not really achieving anything.
Right? Have you ever felt like that? Like almost guilty if you have a free moment?
Oh, totally. And it's like
Yeah.
this fear of missing out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or like needing to prove your worth by how packed your schedule is.
So it's less about what you're actually doing and more about just appearing busy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. And the thing is, this whole charade, it can actually mask some deeper fears, Like maybe a fear of stillness or of actually facing what's important to us.
Wow, okay. So we're busy, but maybe not fulfilled.
Exactly. We end up filling our days with activity, but not necessarily with things that truly align with our values or our goals.
So we're spinning our wheels, but going nowhere.
In a sense, yeah. And I think that's why so many people feel overwhelmed and even burned out, despite, checking all the boxes on their to-do lists.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do we break free from this cycle, How do we actually start prioritizing what matters when there's all this pressure to just keep going?
Well, the text really emphasizes the importance of introspection. Taking a step back from all the noise and asking yourself some tough questions.
Like what?
Like what truly gives you meaning? What are your values, your passions, the things you want to achieve in the long run?
So basically figuring out your own definition of success, not the one society throws at you.
Exactly. And it's not always easy.
Yeah,
No.
definitely
Yeah.
not. Especially when you're bombarded with all these external pressures and expectations, it's
Yeah.
like, how do you even know what you actually want anymore?
Right. It takes conscious effort. The text suggests things like journaling, mindfulness,
Hmm.
even just having honest conversations with people who really know you.
Yeah, people you can be real with.
Exactly. It's
Um,
about peeling back the layers, all that societal conditioning and rediscovering what truly resonates with you.
So once you've kind of done that inner work and you've identified those core values, those guiding principles, how do you actually translate that into action? I mean, we've all heard of time blocking and to-do lists, right?
Yeah.
What's different here?
Well, the text goes beyond those surface level techniques and delves into some deeper strategies. Like, for instance, it talks about themed days.
Theme days.
Yeah, like dedicating specific days to certain types of work. So maybe Mondays are for creative projects, Tuesdays are for client meetings. It helps with focus and minimizes all that context switching that can be so draining.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's like compartmentalizing your work.
Exactly. And then instead of just listing tasks, it advocates for prioritizing based on your energy levels. Do your most demanding work when you're most alert, not when you're already drained.
That makes sense. So we're being strategic, not just with our time, but also with our energy.
Right. It's all about working smarter, not just harder.
And you mentioned earlier the Eisenhower matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us like a quick rundown of what that is?
Sure. It's a way to categorize your tasks based on urgency and importance. So you have urgent tasks, those things that demand immediate attention, but they're not always the most important.
Okay.
And then you have important tasks, those that contribute to your long-term goals, but they might not be screaming for your attention right this second.
So it's about learning to distinguish between like putting out fires and preventing fires in the first place.
Exactly. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. And then, of course, there's delegation, learning to delegate tasks that don't require your unique skill set that can free up a ton of time and energy for the things that really matter.
Right. But I think, for a lot of people, the biggest challenge is actually sticking to these strategies. Like it's one thing to read about them, but then how do you actually resist the pull of that busy mentality, especially when everyone around you seems to be caught up in it?
That's a great point. The text really highlights the importance of setting boundaries and learning to say no.
Mm.
It's okay to decline requests that don't align with your priorities, even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
It's like giving yourself permission to prioritize your own well-being.
Exactly. And remember, every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're essentially saying no to something that does.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. So if our listeners take away one thing from this deep dive, what would you want it to be?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that breaking free from the busy trap is not about becoming some kind of productivity machine. It's about reclaiming control of your time and energy so you can focus on what truly matters. Imagine feeling less stressed, having more mental clarity, and experiencing a deeper sense of fulfillment in your work and life. It's about making choices that align with your values and your goals, not just reacting to the demands of the world around you.
So ultimately, it's about trading that frantic, busy feeling for a sense of calm, purposeful productivity.
Precisely. And here's something I'd like our listeners to ponder as we wrap up. What's one commitment you've made, maybe out of habit or obligation, that's draining your energy? What would happen if you gracefully stepped back from that commitment? What new possibilities might open up? It's food for thought, something to consider as you navigate this journey of prioritizing what truly
That's
matters.
great. Lots to think about. And thanks for joining us today, everyone. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.